He's still attacking MAGA as working very hard to capitalize on the murder of Charlie Kirk. We want to we're in mourning. We're not capitalizing on the death of Charlie. We're in mourning. You leftist losers are out there trying to blame us for his death, trying to disparage his legacy, and we're trying to correct you, and we're trying to correct the record. And for once, we're fighting back. That's what you're talking about. You're just not used to it. We get to Wednesday.
What happens when late-night comedy collides headfirst with a reality check? Picture this: Megyn Kelly storming into Jimmy Kimmel's world, not with a polite handshake, but with the fury of someone who just found out their Netflix password got stolen. News breaks about Kimmel's possible exit, and Megyn doesn't just sip her tea. She empties the boiling kettle on his head. This wasn't casual banter. It was a full-on public roast on steroids. Buckle up, because things just went from late-night laughs to late-night flames.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger-pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking.
Quick pause. Smash that subscribe button because you don't want to miss what comes next. Jimmy Kimmel has made a career pretending to be America's clown prince of late night. He flashes that smug grin, drops recycled jokes that sound like a teenager's TikTok captions, and then nods at the camera like he just solved world peace by reading off a teleprompter without dozing off.
You know, a lot of people watched our show last night. I got so many texts from so many people. It made me realize how many of my friends are never watching the show at any other time. Tomorrow I'll hear from no one. I did hear from one very special friend. Moments after we taped our show last night, the Mad Red Hatter wrote, "I can't believe ABC Fake News gave Jimmy Kimmel his job back." You can't believe they gave me my job back. I can't believe we gave you your job back.
But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared him for Megyn Kelly walking in with verbal brass knuckles. This wasn't a disagreement over ratings. This was Megyn unloading cannon fire on Jimmy's shrinking relevance. It felt less like late-night TV and more like Pirates of the Caribbean, except instead of Johnny Depp's eyeliner, we got Megyn's pure disdain cutting him down scene by scene.
ABC are now in meltdown because, according to The Hollywood Reporter, The Wall Street Journal, CNN, the phone lines were ringing off the hooks. They were upset. They, too, are feeling the vibe shift that we felt since Trump's election, and they've had it with this nonstop pinko commie leftist programming up and down their airwaves. From The View in the morning straight through to Kimmel in the evening. And don't even get me started on David Muir. Then you had Brendan Carr go on Benny Johnson's podcast and say, you know, enough is enough.
Because here's the truth. Jimmy Kimmel's career is looking like a deflated balloon animal. Once fun at the party, now just sad, sticky, and clinging to life. Megyn didn't just poke the balloon. She stomped it flat, rolled her eyes, and asked why anyone thought it was worth blowing up in the first place.
This whole Jimmy Kimmel situation, I definitely don't think that the government should be involved ever in dictating what a comedian can or cannot say in a monologue. If people on the right are like, yeah, go get him. Oh my God, you're crazy. You're crazy for supporting this. It makes his show bigger, much more support. This is my suspicion. They suspended for a short amount of time and then they bring it back and then there's a lot of lawyers. Somehow or another it gets worked out that he has a show. He comes back to a standing ovation. Donald Trump tweets mean shit about him and then the world moves on.
This show still sucks.
And the best part? She did it all with icy corporate warrior confidence. The kind of stare that makes Wall Street execs confess crimes they didn't commit. Jimmy tried brushing it off, laughing awkwardly, tugging at his suit like the lonely kid at a school dance. But Megyn wasn't buying it. She shut him down with the authority of someone slamming a laptop shut when the boss walks in.
Okay, so it's the right wing who's in denial about this young man's affiliations. By the way, he was not a kid. He was 22 years old. We went through that. Then it was made perfectly clear over the past 2 days that this kid, to use Jimmy's word, has been completely indoctrinated into left-wing ideology. His parents said that. His parents said he had moved farther left politically. He had gotten very into the messaging of the left wing around gay rights and trans ideology. And then we see what was written on the bullet casings. And now the message is shifting from the left to, well, we still might not know his motivation, but really, who cares?
The crowd didn't know whether to laugh or gasp. It was like watching an Olympic fencer duel a guy who brought a pool noodle, and the timing, brutal. Rumors were already swirling that Kimmel's late-night career was on life support. The minute whispers of his firing hit the air, Megyn pounced like a cat spotting a mouse with a debt. Jimmy tried to spin it, but Megyn sliced through every excuse with smirking precision. At that point, even a referee would have called it a knockout in round 1.
Last night, mostly, that there were multiple reasons why Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air. But chief among them was, not only was he not planning on apologizing when he was going to go back out on his show Wednesday evening, he was planning on attacking MAGA. Attacking. My words are being purposefully twisted.
The irony? Jimmy's whole brand has been roasting others, politicians, celebrities, whoever was trending. But when the flames turned on him, his armor fell apart faster than a dollar store umbrella in a storm. The smirk, the fake confidence, it all melted. What we saw was a man who looked like someone just told him his car warranty really had expired.
When you look at the Jimmy Kimmel suspension, do you think it's another example of kind of state use of, is it state censorship?
Well, I think this is a very clear example of that. It is a direct government action to try to intimidate employers, organizations, corporations, much of which we've already seen, to remove an opponent, even though it's a comic. Of course, this was a particularly sensitive time because of the terrible crime that was committed, the murder of Mr. Kirk. But, you know, you defend free speech in terrible times.
Meanwhile, Megyn didn't even break a sweat. She turned Jimmy's comeback attempts into punchlines for her own performance. Twitter lit up instantly. Half the crowd cheering Megyn for finally saying what everyone thought, that Kimmel's jokes age worse than warm sushi. The other half tried defending him, but it was like arguing your team played well after losing 50-0. No one was buying it.
2 weeks ago, Stephen Colbert announced that he was leaving his show. Howard Stern announced that he and Sirius XM Radio are parting ways. Do you think the hate Trump business model that's been in the entertainment business is going out of business because it's not popular with the American people?
Well, it hasn't worked, and it hasn't worked really for a long time, and I would say pretty much from the beginning. Colbert has no talent. I mean, I could take anybody here, I could go outside on the beautiful streets and pick up a couple of people that do just as well or better. They get higher ratings than he did. He's got no talent. Fallon has no talent. Kimmel has no talent. They're next. They're going to be going. I hear they're going to be going.
And while Jimmy slinked off stage, Megyn walked out like she just accidentally paid off her mortgage. Calm, flawless, untouchable. Even Jimmy's studio audience left whispering. So when does Megyn get her own late-night show? Because that's what this felt like, a cultural reset. Kimmel didn't just lose. He became the blooper reel, while Megyn became the highlight.
This is such gaslighting. We went through how many days after we saw what was written on the bullets of them saying, no, don't believe what's on the bullet casings. He was a right-winger. He came from a MAGA family, and he was MAGA. But went from days of that. By the way, here's just one example. Jimmy Kimmel, this is him on Monday, refusing to acknowledge that he was a left-winger. Notwithstanding, but the fact that we already had this information from the Utah governor that he was indoctrinated into the left-wing ideology. We saw what he had written on the bullets. Just one example.
Jimmy probably thought he could joke his way out of it the next night. Maybe spin it into a bit. But how do you laugh about being demolished so badly that even your laugh track sounds embarrassed? That's not comedy. It's tragedy with bad lighting. Ratings spiked, not to watch Jimmy recover, but to see if Megyn would come back for round 2.
Let's see what he did last night, SOT 10.
Those who think I go too hard on Donald Trump, to the point where there are still a lot of people who think I should be pulled off the air for making fun of Donald Trump. So I want to explain. I talk about Trump more than anything because he's a bully. I don't like bullies. I played the clarinet in high school, okay? So
this is so ridiculous. You know, I feel like Emily, you are genuinely funny. You've made me laugh out loud many times on your show, After Party with Emily Jashinsky. I'm mildly amusing. Eliana, I think you're funny too. You're very clever. However, I would never think that because I'm occasionally funny, I could host a late night show. I would never think I could go out there and do Jimmy Kimmel's. I just wouldn't.
And the ripple effect? Huge. If Megyn could dismantle Kimmel, what chance did Stalin's giggles have? Or Colbert's smirk? Corden already got sent packing, and honestly, if Megyn had gone after him, he'd probably have faked a fainting spell to escape. Jimmy, though, he had no escape. No commercial break, no producer rescue. Just Megyn stripping his confidence down slice by slice until there was nothing left but awkward silence.
He's not funny either. Like, I could totally do this. I've been too hard on myself. All three of us could go out there and host a non-funny show where we just say political thoughts. We actually do that for a living already. How is this comedy? How are people giving him the excuse that he's a comedian? He's not even trying to be funny. That's just some weird, long, rambling, like, Twitter post about the nipples and the trapper keeper. It's not even arguably clever. But the point is, he's back to himself, Emily. He's learned nothing.
In the end, Jimmy Kimmel didn't walk away looking like a comedian. He walked away like a cautionary tale. Proof that coasting on recycled punchlines and smug charm won't hold up when someone with real sharpness shows up. Megyn didn't just roast him. She officiated his career's funeral. One night, he was king of late night. The next, he was a meme. And Megyn Kelly was the one holding the microphone.